So, what is it to be a great business owner? Well, let me just share my own experience. So, when I started this business, I came into this business as a coach. I run and own a coaching practice. And starting that business, I started it from the position of being a coach. Now, although that might be quite strange coming from a military background, when I was serving in the military, I had qualified and I was trained and I was delivering coaching. So for me, using those skills in business was exactly where I wanted to get to. The challenge was, and I learned this really early on, that if I was going to be the coach, then all I'd ever own is a job. And to be a great business owner, you've got to step beyond just your own technical abilities. And indeed, in Michael Gerber's fantastic book, and I highly recommend it, The E-Myth, he talks about the technician and being the technician in your business and how that can create entrepreneurial seizure. Now, I'm not going to talk about it in this article. This is, it's another area to focus on. But by all means, grab his book and have a read of it. It's fantastic. So you've got to start to step outside of just being the technician in your business. And if that's where you are at the moment, if you're a baker and you're just baking, if you're a hairdresser or a hair cutter and that's what you do, then that's all you're going to do. You're going to own that job. So how do we start to really focus on being a great business owner? Well, the first thing is kind of like, what's the vision and mission? Where's the clarity in terms of where you want to get to? What does the summit of your mountain look like? And how are you going to get there? What's the mission that you're going to undertake to actually get there? Now, a lot of people think that vision and mission sounds extremely corporate. But let me tell you, it absolutely isn't. It gives direction. It gives and starts to structure an element of belief and purpose and direction in terms of where you want to get to. Then it's about leading by example. So being that exemplar in your own business. What it is that you want to achieve in business, and actually in order to do that, then you need to actually lead in that way. Now, whether you've got a team or you're aspiring to grow a team or you've got outside help and influences, just your customers, leading by example is absolutely critical going forward. And you've then got to with that, and as you do start to build a team, you've got to foster a positive culture. A culture that reflects where it is and what it is that you want to achieve in your business. And in doing that also, coaching and mentoring your team in how they turn up, what it is that they need to do, how they act and how they behave. That all of those areas are going to have a significant impact in terms of how you turn up as a great business owner. And then with that, one of the things that we have to contend with today, and actually in business, if you haven't worked it out already, is you have to be the author of change. You have to be the one that is striving to adapt, to move your business forward. The great word that came out of COVID was pivot. But actually today, you need to be adaptable. You need to encourage an ethos within your business of change and being, change embracing rather than change adverse, which is often where, as human beings, is one of the things that we often end up falling foul of. And ultimately, all of that as a great business owner is about motivating and inspiring your team. But let's break it down into the steps, and you can read more about the steps in the associated article to this video. And step one is clarifying the vision, the mission, and your values. What is it you bring that's going to drive the direction of the business, to give clarity, to unlock a sense of purpose of where you want to get to. And then step two is model the mindset and the behaviors that you want to see in your business. And again, if you go and have a look at any great business owner, you'll see that's precisely what they do and what they undertake. So modeling that great behavior in terms of how they turn up each and every day. And for me in business, I always strive to, a very simple process. For today, I always strive to turn up just marginally better than I was yesterday. And if I can do that every day, I know that I'm on a good journey. Step three, over communicate. And I can't stress that. Communicate incredibly well and then over communicate. Communication, and I've done this for a long time now. Every time I work with an organization, a business, a company, or a team, and I ask, what's the major challenge? It is unequivocally, at least 99% of the time, communication. So if you can be an absolutely fantastic communicator, you're going to be a great business owner, because you're not going to leave people wondering. guessing, second guessing, what's going on. They're just going to know. Number 4, and I mentioned it, is mentoring your team. You bring great people into the business and invest in them, invest your time in them, give them your time willingly to help them be the best version of themselves for you in the business. Number 5 is about decisiveness. We saw during COVID that a lack of decisiveness is costly. I remember when COVID first hit, and we immediately decided to put some structure in place to help businesses to create crisis plans. And we were inundated with the amount of people that got in touch to actually want to sit down and actually create a plan, a crisis plan to overcome this challenge. And they didn't hang around thinking to see, what's going to happen, what's going to change, will it be all right, won't it be all right? They were just decisive. They just went, that's what we need to do. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to invest in. Now, it's not about being foolhardy. And any decision that you make is obviously going to be backed up with evidence. But if there's a point, and there often is, where kind of like, actually, I now need to make a decision. Am I or aren't I going for this one? Take the evidence you got and then be decisive. Sometimes, following your gut instincts, not a bad thing. It certainly served me well throughout all of my service in the military. Step 6 is read change ahead. If there is one thing that we must and should have learned over the recent years, is to look at the business environment, to look what's coming, look what's happening, to have contingency. And again, I think back to my military. It sounds odd when I talk about it now, because it was a staple diet of what we did. There was always what we would call actions on. There was always a contingency plan. Alternative courses of action at particular decision points. And in business, that's absolutely critical. If you're in the process of bringing a client on board and suddenly something happens, what do? What's the situation if that client decides to pull out? What happens if you promise a client something and suddenly you're unable to deliver? What's the contingency? How do you deal with crisis? Whether they're crises that are within your control, and it might be routine related, or whether it's outside of your control, and it may be whatever that might impact the delivery of your business. Have you got, plans in place? Are you so, tuned in that you can see and plan and look to, optimize your business for change ahead? And step 7 is really what it's all about. Really connect to the larger purpose around why you want to be a great business owner, why your business exists, why you do what you do. Now, go have a good read of the article where I'll talk about this stuff in a little bit more detail. But the road to becoming a great business owner will take you away from owning a job and actually start you out on that journey towards actually what you absolutely can and should strive to achieve. Hope that's helpful. Thanks a lot.